Hello and welcome to the Con Couple. I'm Richard.
I don't want school to start tomorrow.
I know, I know.
I'm Caroline.
Thank you. And we go to a bizarre number of cons every year. I've definitely used bizarre before.
You've definitely used Bazaar before.
It's fine. As you may be able to tell, we're a wee bit tired this weekend.
Yeah, it's been a rough weekend. Started out nice. Saw some friends, but yesterday was pretty rough, and we debated not even going to this one, I think, just because school starts tomorrow, and I'm still not prepared, so yay.
Again, you're having fun at the moment trying to figure out how you're going to deal with AI in the classroom and all of that nonsense.
Again, it's a pretty exhausting semester generally, so yeah. As mentioned before, we are paring stuff back as school starts, with the exception of Colossal Connies that we somehow got into. But other than that, we'll be doing some lighter stuff, I think, for the next few weeks.
Yeah. Well, there's also Missouri next week.
Missouri we're kind of half doing.
So yeah. So where were we today?
Northeast Ohio Steampunk Festival.
Good, I did get the title right when I typed it out earlier. I couldn't remember if I had got it quite right or I was going to have to amend things, but it's fine.
Yeah, we were only at this for a couple hours today, so this will probably be a shorter episode, one-dayer type con, so
yep.
Less to review, but we will review it to the best of our ability.
Absolutely. And we do have thoughts. Mm-hmm. So again, today we got up a little bit later or kind of earlier and just kind of hung out at home for a bit because we could have rushed up here for this one, but it's not an event that I would go all day for.
Yeah, it's a pretty chill event. So this is in Burton, Ohio.
Yep.
And it's basically largely outdoor festival that takes place in a historic village. Historic villages, if you're not American or in a country that has these, are basically like educational facilities that have stuff from the way back where people on school days dress in period costumes and tell children about like the pioneer days of America. Basically, they whitewash history quite a bit, but you know they're fun, I guess.
I'd say the British equivalent to this is somewhere like Beamish, which I've taken you to. Also, Beamish. The fact that you now have a 1960s section and it's history, I hate it. Thanks.
Well, like this, because I was when we got there to get tickets, they did have a list of events, and they have a dinosaur weekend. I don't really know how dinosaurs and like the pioneers have much to do with each other. But like most historic villages, it's typically like a bunch of outside houses. They have a blacksmith. They have a few animals on site. So we got to look at some cows and some chickens and stuff like that. And the festival kind of takes place around that area.
So, the festival itself, primarily, a few vendors, a couple of, few activities throughout the day. Nothing too excessive. But again, if you're just looking for kind of a chill time to spend a few hours and just kind of like get out of your head, it was pretty good for that.
Yeah. We did see a couple of the steampunkers that we know.
Yep.
Bourbon City Steampunk was there, said hi to us, give us some pins.
Yep.
Another couple who does like radio plays were there. They were super nice. Steampunk Xena was there. Two other people we knew, and then I think a lot of local people. This is a pretty local convention, so.
Which is fair. Like again, it doesn't need to be anything more than that.
I will admit, I don't typically enjoy outdoor conventions. I will say we did get pretty lucky with the weather today, though.
Yeah, it's about 75, 78 degrees out there at the moment.
Which is way below average for August. Yeah. So it was a pretty comfortable day. Sun was shining, no real complaints there.
Yeah.
We did go last year and it was a lot hotter, so.
Yes. Yeah, we were definitely overheated a bit last year.
You gonna be good to talk, or you need a caffeine hit?
I think I'm okay. Again, if we end up having to stop for caffeine,
you need to pep it up a little bit though, because you're definitely.
That's fair. Okay. As we said, rough day. Didn't sleep great. It happens. But yeah. So So we drove up here because this one's a 2-hour and change drive. Mm-hmm. We waited to start recording the podcast until we got back on the highway because the last 30, 40-ish minutes of the drive is a bit backroadsy.
Yeah, we wound up driving through my undergrad university, which was weird, I think, just because the bridge was out and it happened to be on the way. So cool there. We didn't stop, but you know.
Oh, we drove through it.
Yeah.
Again, mild nostalgia hit for you there. Mm-hmm. What?
Nothing. I didn't know where you're going with the sentence.
That's fine.
It's very clearly we're professional.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, so again, pretty straightforward drive, nothing too fancy. We get there and we pull into the car park. Now, The last time we were there, we ended up parking slightly further away and walking over. This time, I think their parking was just kind of better labeled because it was easier for us to spot.
We also, I think, came from a different direction this time.
Yeah, probably because of that aforementioned bridge being out. But yeah, so pulled into the car park. It was actually fairly full, but they did have an attendant there who could see we were looking for a spot. And he basically said, if you park on the grass over there and start a new row, you should be good. All right, okay, that'll work for us. So we parked pretty much where we were told to. Nice and simple. It was
free. It was basically next to the entrance gate.
Yep.
You could buy tickets in advance for slightly cheaper, but we honestly, with everything else going on this weekend, didn't know till weekend of we were going. And because we didn't know till weekend of if we were going, we just bought it at the gate for $15 each, which is reasonable for what it was.
Yeah, I don't have a complaint about the price. So we got given wristbands.
For the wrong weekend.
Yep. So I did, looking around, see several people with wristbands that just said Steampunk Festival Sunday only. My guess is they got more people in today than they expected, so they've run out of those. Mm-hmm. So we have what I suspect are leftover wristbands from the Viking Festival, because they just say Viking Festival on it.
Yeah. It's Sunday though, so the wristbands just mean you have in and out privileges basically. But it's also Sunday, like we couldn't do another day or anything like that. So
yeah, so that just kind of worked out fine. Mm-hmm. Mostly it just amused me.
Stop yawning.
You know, saying that doesn't help.
I know, but now the audience knows how annoying it is.
Yep. I love you. Hey, if we end up pausing this while I grab some caffeine, we can do that. Fair?
Fair. I mean, it's not going to take us that long to review. So.
No, it's not.
So you have anything else you want to talk about the space or the venue? I talked about it a little.
Yeah, you talked about it a little. So it's basically got what I would describe as two greens, which kind of slightly offset from each other, which is where most of the Menzies stuff was set up. It's also where they were doing all the kind of outdoor events in the music space and that kind of stuff. Then we had an indoor hall, which is where they did the costume contest.
Damn it.
And it's also where they had some more vendors. So, nice and simple. They had a couple of food trucks out and about. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, again, as little festivals go, it was pretty well set up. I don't have any major complaints.
Yeah, so they had an indoor and outdoor vendors area.
Yep.
They had a bounce house for kids.
Yep.
They had some table games you could play for kids, a bubble area for kids. There was a decent stuff, a dino dig for kids. Some axe and throwing shops for axe throwing, and you could also walk down around the just historic village area, which had a blacksmith and some other people hanging out.
Yeah.
And it was a dog friendly event because it was outside, so you could bring your dog.
Yeah.
We did not bring Emma, but you could.
Yeah. Well, the reason we didn't bring Emma is, do you want to tell her what you decided to wear to this one?
Yeah. So last year we went to this, I wore my Alice dress, which is a bit more lower key. This year I wore my candy skirt though, which I haven't worn to that, but it's always a hit at Steampunk Festivals, and I figured since the weather was a little bit nicer today, I'd put it on, especially since I knew we weren't probably going to stay too long, so I figured it'd be a good outfit for that day.
Yeah. Because again, you've worn it plenty of times on the Saturday of a big con, and I'm not going to say you end up regretting it by the end of the evening, but, you're in pain by the end of the evening, because that thing is heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas this, a few hours, perfectly fine.
You're just wearing your wonk outfit.
Yeah. Yeah, steampunk coat, purple, purple vest, purple hat. Nice and simple and straightforward. So, yeah. So, we arrived.
Damn it!
Stop complaining about my yawning. So, yeah. So, we arrived, and then we bumped into some friends.
Yep. And we don't shout out people's, first names on podcast because we don't have their permission. That's friends that we've seen. So at Key City a couple weeks ago.
Yep. And we also saw them at Bourbon City a while back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we said hi. We hung out with them a bit.
You okay?
Yeah. Just wanted there's some slightly jacked traffic ahead, but I think it's just due to the roadworks.
This is not a good episode.
No, it's not. It's fine.
So we hung out for them a bit, and then we went to outdoor tea dueling.
Yep. And again, tea dueling, we've talked about a bunch in the past on the podcast. Tea dueling is relatively simple as a process. You have multiple people who face off against each other, usually in pairs. They take a biscuit, in this case the chessmen ones, and they proceed to dunk said biscuit into a cup of tea. At that point, they lift the biscuit up into the air. They hold it high, and they have to face off against each other until the biscuit starts to crumble.
He, she, or they
He, she, they.
who finishes the biscuit last shall be the victor.
Yep. So the goal is to basically get the entire biscuit, into your mouth reasonably cleanly. And if it falls apart, you lose. If you eat yours first and then the other person manages to also eat theirs cleanly, you also lose. So you're playing chicken with wet biscuits.
Yeah. This one was using the chess biscuits, which I think is our preferred biscuit for tea dueling.
So there is some debate in the steampunk community about the best biscuit to use,
which did happen as we were watching it with various people.
Yeah. Now, I think the chessmen's are good for an event of this size because you tend to get anywhere between about 20 and 40 seconds from them after they've been dunked, which is good for good for the drama. There's some chance for some smack talk, all of that kind of stuff. Whereas when we were at Key City a couple of weeks ago, they were using Biscoffs, which go a lot faster. You've probably only got about 15 seconds with a Biscoff. But at a larger event like Key City, where you're going to have more people who want to participate, there is something to be said for each round going a bit faster.
Yeah. I can't see the faster argument. I do like the chessmen just for the drama of it, because it's a little bit longer too, because chessmen have like chess pieces like imprinted on them. You can like choose your fighter if you want like a queen or a knight, which is a little cute like element that I like a bit.
Yeah. And
this was done by a tea company who just straight up sells their own tea and like gives mini packets away to everyone. Yes, thank you. I will shout out their name.
There you go.
Thank you. Ah!
Sorry. Probably shouldn't have had that in my back pocket, but it's fine.
You also had no reason to break like that there.
Yeah, I know.
By the way, we record this in our cars and we're using infrared lapel mics, and it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, we're allowed to have hands-free lapel mics.
So this is the Ohio Tea Corporation. The one you chose was their Blood Orange Black.
Yep.
And you also tried some of their teas since you took place in tea dueling. How would you rate it?
I actually quite enjoyed it. I don't like tea, so which probably means if you do like tea, it won't be like tea enough for you. But again, as a beverage to drink, I don't know if I will make use of that free packet they gave me, but I do appreciate the fact because they had the choice of 3 different teas. I think there was a 4th if you wanted a caffeine-free option. Which again, I very much appreciate the fact that they offer that. And so they basically said, which would you like? And I said, well, I'll go with the blood orange, because that sounded moderately interesting. And at the end, after you participated, both participants, it wasn't a winner-loser thing, both participants basically got a free sample of a tea of their choice of the 3 that they had up on stage. So there was a watermelon one, a blood orange one, and a third one. The third one was a blue something or other.
Yeah, I remember it being blue, but I don't really remember being what it was.
Looked interesting.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I think a lot of the people who were getting their free sample were deliberately picking the one they played with because they tasted it and they're like, yeah, this is good.
Did you do that or not?
Yeah, I used the blood orange one, and the packet I got as my freebie was the blood orange one. I don't know if I'll drink it at any point. But,
you should. You liked it for once, which is weird. Maybe you're starting to like tea.
No.
I'll tell your parents.
No. We also can't make tea properly in this country.
You realize that the water's the same regardless of whether or not it's in a kettle, right?
Yeah, but we don't have an electric kettle. We can't make
I can just buy you an electric kettle. They sell them on Amazon. You dork.
Do we have room in the kitchen?
Somewhere. We could move the, toaster oven. I was really excited about that toaster oven. It was like my first adult purchase.
It's a good little toaster oven.
I know. When I moved in, it was the first thing I bought was a toaster oven. It was on my bucket list for a while. Listen, when you're sort of kind of tertiarily homeless for 5 years, toaster ovens become very important.
It's fair. It's the same way you married me, so someone will buy us a stand mixer.
I still regret not getting the pink stand mixer. Might need to get married again.
Okay.
So while we're doing this, we're kind of just vibing. The fun of steampunk cons, and one of our friends did describe this as kind of a chill event, and that's what it is. You're basically just hanging out with people, having a fun time on an afternoon.
Yep.
Like the steampunkers' creativity, and everyone there is super, super friendly. So, and because of that, I did get a lot of, while we were just kind of standing around and you were drinking tea, suggestions to enter the cosplay competition.
Yes, because again, the candy skirt is fun. It wows. People love it.
Yeah. I will say I appreciate that people love it, and I appreciate people like pointing me towards the direction where it is because it's not clearly labeled. Like that was nice. But please, if you see somebody, don't like ask or try to pressure them into entering a cosplay competition because cosplay competitions water a lot of time, a lot of work, and a lot of energy, and some days you're just not feeling it. And I was kind of half and half in this one from the start.
Yeah.
But a lot of people liked it. I was like, okay, I'll enter. So.
Well, we entered as
We
a
did.
couple. We usually prefer to enter as a couple where they allow it, just because like, it's easier. And again,
It's
like
easier.
you and I did work together to make your costume. Like I don't feel embarrassed to admit that.
You okay?
Yep.
Honey?
Yes.
Okay. Did you miss the turn?
Slightly. It's fine. It added 3 minutes to the drive.
Okay.
So yeah. So, what were we saying? Oh yeah.
So yeah, anything else you want to say about tea drilling?
Again, tea dueling. Quite a well-run version of tea dueling, I think.
Was outdoors.
Was outdoors.
And was quite intense. It wasn't a tent.
It was at a tent, yes. Hardy. But yeah. So again, well run. Having it run by an actual tea company was actually kind of cute because, as I say, it meant you got the freebies. And
they also were using actual like China cups and stuff.
yeah, they were.
Like normally they use like paper cups. This one had like an actual China tea set and stuff, and they had a bunch of cups laid out. So
they put in work. Yeah, and again, so sometimes with tea dueling, you get to keep the tea to drink afterwards.
Yep.
Sometimes you don't. This was one where they was like, yep, go keep the cup, finish the tea, return the china when you're done with it.
Mm-hmm. And actually, it's I think a fairly clever way of a tea company to kind of effectively give out free samples because a lot of people really like the tea. So
yeah, it was
nice advertising on their part. The person did a good job with it.
You know, and again, they understand how to make tea dueling fun for an audience, which again isn't that difficult. But I'm going to be honest, where they were positioned wasn't great for the watcher.
Yeah, it was a bit hard to see at places.
But I think everybody who participated had fun. I had fun. I lost my bout.
And they also bring up like a chair for somebody who needed an accessibility because for the most part, because it's outdoors, you're just kind of standing. There's not like seating anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I think they did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, we kind of meandered into the vendors hall for a bit.
Yeah.
Or
so
the indoor part.
The indoor part of the vendors hall to kind of look around. Was pretty much the standard. It's hard to even say the standard fare for steampunk cons, but there was a table just of cogs and gears. There was a clothing maker's shop.
Yep.
There was somebody who was making puppets. That was pretty cool. Shop that sold souvenirs and stuffies.
Yep. Some 3D printed stuff.
A professional photographer who immediately accosted us for photos.
Yeah. Well, when we say accosted, we mean that in a nice way.
It's like, here, have your photo taken. And this is like a booth where if you like want to buy the photo and have them printed off, it costs I think about $25. But he just wanted to take our prints for free, so we did that. You could like see the photos on the far screen. I was trying not to look at them because I was just not. It's been kind of a rough weekend for me, and I just wasn't in the mood to like see pictures of myself. But I think they did a good job.
They did.
Like the ones I happened to have glanced at, I liked. Okay, even if I suck at smiling. And you took some where I think you were kneeling and like kissing my hand, which they liked a lot. So.
Yeah. Well, again, one of the issues we were having is that I'm quite tall and I was wearing a top hat today. Yeah. So the getting the angles right such that the camera wasn't staring at my nose took a little bit of finagling, but
I know. At this point, I think we're fairly used to being accosted at cons for photos, sometimes by professional photographers, just to build up their portfolios. Yep. Some of them will send them to you for free, some of them won't.
Yep.
Both of those are fine options.
Yeah, he basically said they'll be available on his website if we want to go and buy them.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can absolutely do. We probably won't bother because we generally don't like to have pictures of ourselves. Like, neither you nor I are particularly like. We always feel like we look awkward in photos, or I certainly do.
It's a combination of that and a combination of just the fact that, like, we're in costumes. We go to cons every weekend. There's a ton of photos of us that exist online, so I think we're good. Well, I will say the person who took my photo at Anthrocon did an amazing job with that.
Oh yeah, the butterfly one.
Yeah. So we did that. We did wind up entering the cosplay competition.
Yep.
There, which was not very clearly labeled.
Yeah. somebody had to kind of point it out to us, and we're like, you should enter the cosplay competition. You can do it right here.
And this one was a bit unique insofar as it was $5 per person, so 10 for the both of us to enter. Like, that wasn't a high enough entry fee that I cared all that much, but it's a bit weird that they had an entry fee.
Yes. But yeah, so basically it was a case of, okay, we'll take your name, we'll take your phone number. Noted. Hilariously, we were looking at the thing, trying to figure out, because we noticed that they put C next to our name and B next to some people's names. And I was wondering if that was like, because we went up as a pair, so I was wondering if that was like, groups were C, like individuals would be. No, we later realized when we were looking that the beard, mustache, and costume contests were all at the same time. So presumably the Bs were people who'd entered the beard contest.
Yes. And they were supposed to be in the same locations. I assume this was just going to be what typically cosplay competitions are at conventions like this, where it's like it's either by applause or it's just a group of judges who are just judging based on vibes.
Yeah.
Which is what I was expecting for today
Yeah.
when I entered. It wasn't quite what happened.
Yeah, the usual walk across stage, say a bit about your costume, give it a twirl, and then vibes check, whether whatever method they prefer to use. I'm a fan of the applause-o-meter personally.
The applause-o-meter's fun, subject to bias, obviously, but still fun. Allows you to really cheer for the people you want.
Yeah.
And that's about what you would expect at a festival this size. We did go to the cosplay competition last year. I think part of it. We didn't enter. We just went, and I think it was mostly based on vibes.
It was mostly based on vibes, I think. I don't know. I don't really remember. I mostly remember the tour guide last year talking for way longer than anybody wanted him to.
Yeah, because I think he was a tour guide for the church that it was hosted in, which is again it's not a in-use church. It's a historic church for showing what a church looked like in like pioneer Western expansion time.
Yeah.
But he talked a lot about that, I think, to just vamp for some reason, but I don't really remember why he was vamping. So there was also a beard and mustache competition. So I assume those were just going to be held at the same place. We could have also checked out the beard and mustache competition.
Yep.
Before we get to the actual what happened there, we should probably finish what we did before.
Yeah, so basically we signed up for that. It was like 2 o'clock-ish, and the actual competition was at 2:30.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically said, okay, it'll be over there. Come back at 2:30, and we'll see you then. And we go, okay, cool, thanks. So we went off. We had a bit of a wander around. You saw some cows, and
I was really excited about the cows.
Yeah,
I love cows. There's a reason I don't eat meat.
Yep. Yeah, so we had a wander around, looked at the various things. You got your picture taken a lot.
Yeah. The nice thing about an outdoor festival and the candy dress is just it sparkles in the sun, which makes it look even cooler. So it's very fun to kind of go around and see.
Yep.
We checked out the various food trucks that were there.
Yep.
So that you wanted to order.
Yep. Which again, I didn't do until later, so I'll kind of talk about that when we get there. But
a bunch of standard outdoor vendors selling jewelry.
Yep.
There was a blacksmith shop that was open that could give us like a tour, which we didn't want to take, but it was there. And they do have some like indoor shops that sell like I think just traditional stuff. Like they have a candy shop for kids that's there. I think it's similar to Beamish in that way.
Almost certainly.
There's just a bunch of like shops that sell technically historic things and also a lot of souvenirs that you could go into.
Which again, I do not have a problem with that. That's completely fine. Also, I did notice the sign for the like animal raffle.
Yep, where you can win half a cow.
Cool. That's weird. No, but yeah. So so we wandered around for a little bit. Killed a bit of time. Was there anything else in particular we did during that time slot?
I don't think we did too much. It was only about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think we mostly walked around. We got to hang out with a nice person.
Yep.
Talk with my dog. Don't people ask you about your accent? Pretty standard stuff of just hanging out at a con.
Yep.
And this is a fairly chill con. There were also bands playing that I think we have to listen to. So.
Yep. But again, they were working.
Yeah.
They were doing some good stuff. Because again, very much a small local festival, but that's absolutely fine. So at that point we ended back over to where the cosplay contest was going to be, or costume contest. And we kind of, we went and stood at the back because we weren't entirely clear exactly where we were supposed to be.
Yep.
And 2 other people came up to us like, "You guys in the costume contest?" I'm like, "Yes." "Okay, good. Do you mind if we can hang out with you?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure."
And they were like, I don't know how to describe them as they have the same level of quirky energy that I think we have, and we just kind of realize that about each other extremely
Yep.
quickly.
I think that's a fair description.
But anyone who goes to a steampunk con is going to be quirky. So, and this was the standard. I think at least vibes in terms of people who were hanging out were all what I liked about like steampunk costume contest, which is really just a bunch of people who were admiring each other's costumes and kind of hanging out and chilling and talking.
Yeah, like there was one person there who'd done some really incredible like automaton makeup.
It was amazing, and they stuck like actual gears to their face to do the makeup.
Apparently, we're
made...
suckers for automaton makeup because like.
Oh yeah.
Because we also think Asgard stuff's incredible.
It is. They also made some like nice pieces for their costume too, because they did the outside like woodworking and stuff, which was very cool. So, and this is, I will say, I guess maybe minor criticisms of steampunk cons or smaller cons in general. So a lot of cons that have cosplay competitions at smaller cons don't say what they are in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Which led to some interesting stuff here, just because I was expecting this to be extremely low key. I think it wound up being like semi low key, just because everyone involved thought it was going to be more low key than it was. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You want to explain what I mean?
So the two judges came out, or the presenter and the judge. I'm not clear exactly how that worked, and basically said, that they had like a 5-point scale, and they were going to be judging us on a bunch of different stuff, and like you and I were just like, really?
What?
That seems excessive.
Like, typically if a con does not have pre-judging, I tend to assume that it's just going to be a standard, like, walk across the stage and judge based on vibes or stage presence.
Yep.
Or, like, based on what people say about their costumes, maybe a little bit if it's, like, handmade or something like that. I will say costume contests at steampunk cons also tend to be pretty varied generally, because at steampunk cons, costumes don't really fit into one category, which I kind of love. Like, it's not really store-bought, homemade, or thrifted. It's typically a combination of all three. Yeah. Like ours was, and so was everyone else's. Yeah. Which makes it harder to judge or enter into a contest, particularly if you don't know the rules, because you don't even know what they're looking for.
Because again, like with most like anime cons, if you've got a costume, it's a specific character who you decided you wanted to cosplay as. You like did whatever you needed to do to put the costume together, and then you did it. Fine. With steampunk cons, because a lot of steampunkers have their steampunk persona, a lot of the times you will find that their costumes are built up over months and years.
Yeah.
They'll thrift a piece here. They'll make their own thing there. They'll get something custom made for them. By somebody else. Like, which makes it hard to judge them as like costume pieces in the same way you would like. I don't know, a Hatsune Miku outfit. Because, like, with Hatsune Miku, you know what you're going to do from the start. Once you decide, okay, I'm going to do a Miku outfit, you know you're going to need, the blue wig, you're going to need, the various, like, costume pieces. Like, stuff will probably change as you're building it, but you're not going to build that over the course of years in the same way that steampunks do. Is that fair?
Yeah. And steampunks are kind of like furries insofar as like typically sometimes the characters are based on something like a book character, or ours was Willy Wonka. Sometimes they're just their own thing.
Yeah.
It's also pretty cool.
Yeah. And the steampunk take on the existing literary figure is a classic. Like, I've seen plenty of steampunk Sherlock Holmes and the like, which is a very fair and valid choice.
And sometimes they will also steampunkify as characters from any franchise a lot of the time.
As exemplified by the fact that one of the guests at this event was Steampunk Xena.
Yeah. I've seen steampunk Beetlejuice a bunch.
Yep. Yeah, especially after the second movie came out.
I'm sure we'll probably see Steampunk Wednesday. Like, they're all fun kind of character concepts.
And you can do a lot with it, which is one of the reasons that steampunk's so dang fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they basically like said that they'd also be looking at like our shoes and like.
Yeah, apparently we would get extra points if we wore shoes that were like steampunk or period appropriate, and keep in mind, these rules weren't even listed on the website or anywhere, so like no one would know to do that.
Yeah, and it's also an outdoor event with a lot of gravel paths. So.
Yeah, it wouldn't be really period appropriate shoes aren't necessarily something you would find. I think other people did have them just by happenstance, but it was just kind of weird generally to have like this weird, I think, fairly complicated scoring system.
So, yeah, so they brought up the They brought up the individuals first,
Mm-hmm.
and they mistakenly called me up.
Yep.
Because they didn't, they couldn't read their own notes to remember we were a group. So we kind of went up, and then they went, "Oh, actually, hang on, can you go back?" And I was like,
Which
okay.
that's an ordinary mistake. I'm not too bad about that outside of it, but it was a bit just. I think the people in costumes were having fun, but everyone did seem kind of confused at points.
Yes, like we were having fun, just kind of chatting to each other and complimenting each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, we complimented the automaton's makeup a bunch. She complimented you. Like, there was a lot of very wholesome energy,
Yep.
At the back of that room.
Randomly, one of the contestants for individuals was wearing a dress that was made by the judge.
Yep.
But in steampunk, keep in mind, it's not unusual to have pieces that are thrifted or commissioned for you. That's absolutely fine. It's completely normal to enter that in a costume contest as long as you're honest about it. Everyone was.
Yeah.
It is a little bit weird to have you be judged by the person who made the outfit themselves.
Yes.
That does seem kind of odd to me. Like, if she just wanted to go and show off her outfit, I'm sure fine. And she did style and add stuff to the outfit, and I don't want to take away from that. But that was a bit weird.
Yes.
She did not mind up winning anything, but they did call her up to, like, rescore her at one point.
Yeah, I was unclear what was going on there. Because neither of the people they called up won.
Yeah. So I just don't know if they were trying to be more thorough with their, like, weird scoring system. Also, keep in mind, because this wasn't posted online, no one had any idea what the categories even were. Which was just best individual and best group.
Yeah.
But that wasn't stated at any point.
At any point.
So people, I think, were also just confused.
Yeah, so, eventually, after probably more waiting than I think anybody was anticipating, they eventually came back, and they first gave out awards to the two kids who entered. Mm-hmm. Fine, do not mind that at all.
Yeah, it's basically just 3D printed stuff from one of the vendors' booths, which the kids will like and no one else will care about. So
I think part of the delay was her running around the booths trying to find someone who'd give her something free she could give to the kids.
Yeah.
But again, the small child seemed to like his 3D printed dinosaur.
Yeah, he was very happy with that. So, and they let one of the small kids decide that they wanted to enter fairly late, and they just let them enter and talk about their costume, which was cute. But yeah, so typically people would come up, they would talk about their costume, give a little twirl for the audience. That part I was fine with.
Yep.
But they did after that have to spend like 2 or 3 minutes writing down numbers on a sheet.
Yep. Which
is a lot for a con of this size. So we came up, we did that, did our little twirl. Had some fun.
Yep. Yeah, I think there were 3 groups.
3 or 4, I can't remember.
There were 3, and I will explain in a minute how I know that for sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that.
So yeah, and 8 individuals.
Yes.
So, we went up, we did that. Judging took quite a while. So yeah, they awarded things to the kids. Great, no notes.
They also called a couple people back up to like rejudge them or judge them more. So we and I think one of the other groups was called up, and then 2 people, neither of whom wound up winning individual, were also called up to be rejudged or relooked at.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
It was all very confusing.
Like, I assumed that they just tied and they wanted to look at them closer again to do a tiebreaker.
Neither of them won, so I don't know if they were just trying to be thorough with the scoring or what. At this point, there was also a penny farthing bicycle that looked awesome that was distracting everyone. So, that was taking up everyone's attention.
Yeah. Well, again, I was commenting on the fact that, so again, as all universities do over the summer when the kids aren't there, we've been doing some renovations. Mm-hmm. And one of the things they put in is a bike rack. And I was just like, so imagine how confused the students would be tomorrow morning if I nicked that penny farthing and it was just sat in the bike rack.
Somebody did ride the penny farthing later.
They did. Crazy person.
God, their thighs must be killing them. If you're not familiar with penny farthings, they're the ones with the big wheel.
Yep.
I don't know if they were ever actually a thing so much as they were just depicted as being a thing.
Oh no, they were a thing. They were really dangerous, but they were a thing for a while.
It's kind of like, because they're basically tricycles. And tricycles are already hard to pedal. It's just, oh my gosh, that must be a nightmare to ride. So yeah, that was happening. And then after they did the rescoring, they also let a little kid who wanted to join last minute just join for fun. So, and they gave both the kids who joined awards for participating.
Yep.
And then they announced the awards, which they didn't say what the awards were, so it was quite confusing.
Yeah, they just called up they called up somebody from the individuals category. It was like, okay, here's your jam, here's $20. Okay. And then they called us up and they were like, here's a thing from one of the vendors. It's a like skull key necklace thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of cute. And here's $15. Okay, thank you for coming for the competition. Bye. Okay.
Yeah, everyone was just like, huh. This is the thing that I think with cosplay competitions is the knowledge for cosplay competitions is not always well disseminated. Like, you have to keep in mind that because this wasn't on the website anywhere or anything where people knew, like, no one knew what the awards were, so they didn't know what they were even signing up to do.
Yeah. Which is a problem.
Yeah. I still had fun, mostly by talking to people, but other than that, it was kind of just...
Yeah, we got a picture with the automaton.
We did. And, like, a lot of the groups were super cute, so...
They were.
And people kept talking to us, so it was fun.
Yeah. But again, like, it didn't need to be a competition. Like, it's our usual comment about cosplay competitions, especially one of this size. Like,
or if it was going to be a competition, it should at least be a pretty low-key competition.
Yeah.
Because the other thing I was kind of disappointed by is I overheard them when they came up to set up the competition of this isn't going to work. And then I'm pretty sure the mustache and beard competition was listed for the same
area.
Yeah, they decided to just move elsewhere so they could like focus on making this competition like more legitimate or whatever.
Yep.
Which I wanted to see the beard and mustaches.
Yep.
I would have rather just have all of that be a walk across the stage thing.
Based on what I could hear, I think you would have mostly seen beards. I don't know if they actually got any entries for the mustache.
Or maybe they'll shave one of the beards halfway through and then they can enter the mustache competition.
Yeah, this is fair. But yeah. So I think it would have been better if we just, if it had just all been one event and, again, victory decided by applause-o-meter, I think would have been fine. But as I said, the reason I know how many entries there were is the individual winner got $20, which I think was half of the total of all the people who entered, because we got $15, and I know for a fact there were only 3 paired entries.
Yeah, keep in mind the paired entries would have been $10 each, and the individual would have been $5.
Yeah.
Which made $5. That's cool, I guess.
Yep.
You spent on food.
I then immediately spent 2/3 of our winnings on food.
So. Oh, that's fine. But it's a bit weird. And I don't know what happens to the other half of that money, if that's just like a thanks for help running the cosplay competition.
I do not know.
Which I don't begrudge in and of itself, but it's a bit weird.
Like, maybe it goes back into the festival itself?
I don't know.
Who knows? So yeah, like again, not the worst cosplay thing we've been involved with. Not the best either.
Yeah. But I will say, if you don't have any rules on your website for your cosplay competition, don't expect people to wear specific shoes.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to know to do that. Like, why would they think to do that? And in general, if you don't have rules on your website at all, then I generally do expect the competition to just be vibes. And part of the problem is, because I was commenting this to Richard, because this would be something we would ask at like the sign-up desk, except half the time the sign-up desk person is just there to man the sign-up booth and doesn't otherwise know what's going on with the competition. So it's not something we can really verify.
Yeah.
And that was the case today too.
Yeah, we've had that problem a bunch of times in the past.
And that's not anything against the sign-up person.
No. Again, it's not information they should necessarily need to have. So yeah. After that, we went outside, got some food. So I went to one of the food trucks and got myself a potato tornado.
Okay, we're stopped by a small child showing off the dinosaur that they won.
Yeah, that was cute. He made the dinosaur roar. But yeah. So yeah. And again, the potato tornado was pretty good. It was a potato on a stick that had been cut and like expanded and then deep fried. Like, that was tasty. Probably not the healthiest thing I've eaten all week, but it was tasty. Yeah, don't have too much to say about that. Reasonably priced as well. Like, as I said, I spent, of the $15 we got back for winning the cosplay contest, I spent 10 of them on that. So yeah, then we kind of hung around, chatting with our friends for a little bit.
Watching some kids play with bubbles.
Yep. You also played with the bubbles a little bit.
Yep. We briefly stopped by parasol dueling, which at previous cons was you trying to knock a hat off somebody with a parasol.
Yeah, so that was umbrella dueling, whereas this was parasol dueling, which are apparently different things.
Yeah, it's basically, from what we could tell, rock, paper, scissors with parasols, where you move them into certain positions, and depending on who's in the top position, they win over you or something.
Something along those lines. Yeah, we were a little unclear. At that point, we kind of decided we were going to hit the road. Not because we weren't having fun, just because, again,
School starts tomorrow. I'm still not fully class prepped, and we're pretty tired.
Yeah.
So we're not going to really do favorite moments because we weren't there long enough to.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Would we go back next year?
Probably.
Probably. Like, this is our second year doing this one.
It's cute. It's close. It's low key. If it is, start of the school year, it is a good weekend for it for us because it's something we can feasibly do while school is starting up, which is a nice pick for when we don't have enough time to really commit a full weekend to something.
Yes.
My only real criticisms of it are, one, the cosplay contest was a bit weird, and also just, I will admit, I'm not the biggest fan of outdoor cons, particularly this time of year, because we were really lucky with the weather this time of year, because it's at least about 10 degrees cooler than it averagely is in Ohio at this time period.
Yeah, like it was warm, but not like horribly warm. Which means we've kind of got away with it, absolutely fine. Whereas last year was toasty.
Yeah.
Though interestingly, they had less covered outdoor seating this year than they did last year.
It seemed like they had less seating generally this year.
Yeah.
But it seemed fairly well attended, mostly local. A couple of steampunk enthusiasts traveled for it.
Yep.
A bunch of stuff we didn't do just to cover that. So a lot of bands played. Steampunk Xena was doing a fire show.
Yep.
They had the costume competitions and beard and mustache competitions both days, so I don't know what happened the other day.
Nope.
Could enter them twice, I think, if you had a different costume, because we saw somebody who entered the cosplay competition twice.
Yeah, which again, fair enough. They at least knew what they were getting into, presumably.
Yep. They didn't move it to a new place, because last year it was in the church, this year it was in...
Yes, this year was just in the back of the sort of indoor vendors hall, which I'm trying to decide worked better. Like, I think last year they were having issues with, one, the accessibility of that building wasn't great.
Yeah, the church is not accessible to anyone who is unable to climb stairs.
And two, just because of the way it's set up, they were having difficulty queuing people up last year. Was it my imagination, or do they have fewer entries this year? Or do we think that's because it was Sunday this time and I think we went Saturday last time?
It might have been a combination of those two things. I don't really know.
Yeah.
It was still fun. And it did seem like fairly crowded for a Sunday, so.
Oh yeah, like as I said, I'm pretty sure they ran out of Sunday wristbands. Either that or the person just grabbed the wrong ones. That's also possible.
So yeah, for the next couple weeks, it's Missouri, then Colossal Con East.
Yep.
Then we're probably going back to smaller cons for a bit. As the school year ramps up.
Yep. Yeah, we've got some planning to do. We've bought tickets for at least one con that's coming up in like November. That'll be fun. But yeah. So yeah, not too much more to say about this one. Fun, light event that was kind of what we needed this weekend, I think.
Yeah. And I don't think the next 2 weekends will be that short of episodes, but I would expect now that the school year starts a couple shorter episodes in the future, just because we might go to stuff that's a little bit more local and a little bit more cute, and maybe like a half-day event as opposed to a 3-day event.
Skunk Fest.
Skunk Fest.
If you do not know the context of Skunk Fest, you'll find out in a few weeks. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's coming up.
It's the 13th.
Cool. So yeah, that'll be some good dumb fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much all we have to say. Anything you'd like to add before we sign off?
And I'm sad this is our last steampunk, I think, event of this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss it for a bit.
So am I. Like, both steampunk events and furry events, like, just have really good vibes and energy in a way that's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've got one of either of those until next year now.
Yeah, and I have been looking kind of semi-optimistically to see if there's anything that floats our boat, but I have not found anything so far.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I also think that generally our area in particular doesn't have as many cons in the fall. Summer does tend to be the biggest season for cons, which makes sense.
Oh yeah.
And spring has a few, but summer or fall tends to be less. And then after December to around January, there's like nothing because people want to spend time with their families or whatever over the holidays. The idiots.
Hey, we spent last summer with my family.
Christmas.
Last Christmas with my family. I knew what I meant. I'm not tired at all.
You need to stop off and get some caffeine.
Yeah, I think so.
So we'll do that. I'll see you next weekend.
See you next week for Matsuri.
Yes, we'll probably record that one in batches because it is in Columbus.
Yep. And that's going to be an interesting one because you've got a panel at that one.
I do, that no one's going to go to because it's on a Thursday.
Like 5 o'clock, which means I need to do some weird nonsense to get out of work slightly early. But we'll figure it out. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and hopefully we'll see you in future episodes.
Bye.
Bye.